All right. Well, we've already become good friends in talking about our lives in the world of media and communications. Diane Dimond. Hi, Diane. How are you?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited to get an opportunity to speak with you. Actually, I'm meeting you through a very close friend, and actually, he's one of our peace ambassadors, Errol Rappaport, um, who knows the nicest people,
Yeah.
and he knows, in addition to their niceness, um, he knows people that are serious about things in this world that aren't fair. And he himself has been involved with an unfair situation in many respects. And sometimes the legalities of life make those things even more difficult to deal with. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is what they call a guardianship. Okay. And guardianship, or they also call it conservatorship, I guess. And Diana's going to she has dedicated a lot of time of her life since I think 2014 to this subject and this matter. Then it says not just Britney. I guess everybody, Britney, just it's unbelievable how Britney Spears, is that Britney Spears?
Yep, that's the one we're talking about.
It's
You're
unbelievable.
right. I have been digging into this topic of adult guardianship. It's a court-ordered thing since 2015. And, nobody really wanted to pay attention. My publishers didn't really think it would be a book, and they didn't really understand it. And people don't understand it because it's a very secretive court system. Everything is done behind closed doors. But it wasn't until Britney Spears' case where the world understood that there's this part of the justice system called conservatorship in California, where she is, but guardianship in the rest of the world. And it's supposed to protect vulnerable people, those citizens who cannot take care of themselves. But I discovered that over the years, it's really morphed into this very predatory, financially centered system where guardians, conservators, lawyers, judges make a ton of money off of these so-called wards of the court because they take total control of their life, all their life decisions, and all of their money.
Well, how prevalent is this?
Oh, that's a great question. You know what? In fact, I'm going to give a little push here. Here's the book.
Yay.
Can you see
it up? I can't see it too well. It is a little bit. Put it more in front of your face, because you.
right in front of my face? How's that?
Yes, there you go. We're here to help when guardianship goes wrong. Diane Dimond. Okay, we got it.
That's the book. So I did finally get a book deal because of the Britney Spears publicity. Publishers started to get it. How prevalent is it? Nobody knows for sure. Isn't that unbelievable? We keep track of missing cars in America and missing children, but we don't keep track of how many people are under court control. They've lost all their civil rights. They can't make any personal decisions. They can't vote, decide where to live, what doctors to go to, who can visit them. The guardian makes all these decisions. They're very powerful, these guardians. And so nobody keeps track of this. The best estimate is 1.5 to 2 million Americans live under this system. So it isn't just Britney Spears.
So how does it happen? How would that happen? This situation, does this happen because somebody is very old and they think that they better take control to help that? Let's say there's positive reasons why people would do this, right? And there's maybe negative reasons. You started sort of more with some of the concerning situations. But how about the positive side of this? Someone's 90 years old and we're the kids and we want to, help the parent in all kindness and lovingness and so on to deal with things. Does that happen?
Guardianship can be very, very positive. When someone in your family, be they living with a disability or they're older or they have a temporary problem, they've had a stroke and maybe they're in a coma for a while, you can go to court and you go to a lawyer and you say, well, what should I do? And invariably that lawyer will say, go for guardianship. You can be the guardian. Wow, perfect. I'm a loving family member, I'll be the guardian. But lately, and I mean over the last few decades, it has come to pass that judges won't choose you to be the guardian. They will choose somebody from a pool of for-profit commercial guardians who can charge up to $600 an hour. And they can hire on as many people as they want to help care for the ward at hundreds of dollars an hour. So you can see how somebody's nest egg would be depleted because the ward of the court pays for all of that. The court's in control, but your money is what finances it. So look, there in the book, there are some examples of how guardianship really helped. It helped in the case of Glenn Campbell, the musician singer Glenn Campbell, Peter Falk, David Merrick, the Broadway producer, was under guardianship.
You're saying that though, I did the Glenn Campbell show, TV show at CBS.
Yeah.
All right. So are you saying that Peter Falk and Glenn Campbell they were under guardianship, or they
Yes.
did guardianship with someone else? They were under?
Oh, they were under guardianship
Okay,
toward
good.
the end of their
Yeah.
life. And their
Okay.
children from previous marriages were being kept away. The guardian would not allow these children to see their father.
Because the judge picked one of these other four, or picked a professional guardian scenario person to
In some instances,
yeah.
in some instances, it's the new wife that doesn't want the old family kids to come and visit. And so in the case of Glenn Campbell's kids, for example, I spoke with his son, Travis. He and his sister went to court, got guardianship instilled, and got a court order that they were allowed to see their dad during his final months of life. And so guardianship can be really helpful, but that's not what my book is mostly focused on. My book is mostly focused on the predatory bad actors within this system who will come and bleed your grandma or your mother or your sister or your brother with cerebral palsy who has a nice malpractice settlement of $2 million in the bank, and they'll bleed them dry.
So, but that bleeder is a judge, if correct me if I'm wrong, a judge appointed, I'll put it in quotes, bleeder. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. And if the family has a problem with that court-appointed guardian, this total stranger who's taken over their loved one's life, and they go back to court, guess what the judge does? The judge appointed this person. They're not going to admit they appointed
Judges are never wrong.
I don't want to hear from you. You know, you're the family, you're a dysfunctional family. That's the most frequently used word, dysfunctional. But you're dysfunctional. So I had to appoint an outsider to take care.
So a family's whole hard labor and work and savings and homes and cars and college potential payment for kids to go to school with that money, and all these things that the family accumulates throughout a life could kind of go right out the window, almost.
Not only that, are you holding on to your hat, Paul? I found in case after case after case in states across this country that when the money runs out, the guardian will go back to the judge and say, "Oh, Your Honor, we're going to have to bust that irrevocable trust that this person has. You know, all that money that's supposed to go to the grandsons, because I need that money to take care of the ward. Or I have to sell the family house with all the heirlooms in it and the car in the garage and the works of art and the jewelry collection to take care of this ward." Well, maybe those items were in this person's will. Yeah. I want my sister to have that and my mother to have that and my brother to have this. Doesn't matter. Wills, irrevocable trusts, end of life documents, even the fact if you want a DNR at the end of your life, a do not resuscitate, all of that can be made null and void with a judge agreeing with the guardian. Oh, okay, you want to bust the will? Okay, go ahead.
This doesn't all go under my peaceful living concept.
It's shameful. It's shameful. But the good news.
Yeah, I want that. That was gonna be my next
Here's the good
question.
news. People are talking about it.
She's a professional, this lady. She's been in CBS. She's been a reporter. She's written books. this is a serious, but she could do the whole interview by herself.
No, no, no. I need you, Paul. The good news is that people are talking about this now. It has been a very secretive system. As I said, courtroom doors are shut. Case documents are sealed. There are gag orders in place. But for my book, people started talking. They started talking to me and they said, you know, we don't care if we're going to be held in contempt of court. Here's the documents that our family got from the court. And I systematically, over the years, put these cases together. I confirmed everything. This book is full of end notes to prove exactly what I'm saying about how bad this system has gotten. And so the good news is there are activist groups out there. There are places that you can call, and I report on them in the book, but I also have a website that people can go to. It's simple, dianedimond.com, no A in Diamond, dianedimond.com. And there's a whole Guardianship Central section there for people to turn to if they suddenly get caught up in this, or if they're faced with the decision, should I go for guardianship? Is that the right path to take? There are other alternatives rather than these really, really strict guardianships.
All right, so Diane, I'm gonna go back to 2014 or maybe before. Why did you write this book? Did you have a situation that occurred to you in your life, or a friend or a family member? Why did you write this book? How did you get so involved?
Well, what a good question. I got a call from a friend of mine. I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and her dad was a prominent surgeon there. And she told me what was happening to her father. And, you know, you're in the media, Diane. You write about crime and justice. This is a crime. He had $7 million and they're bleeding him dry. And none of us kids are going to get our inheritance because the money's being spent. And I looked into it, but in New Mexico at that time, everything was completely closed. I couldn't help her. I couldn't confirm what she was saying. I couldn't believe that this happens in America. And coincidentally, I work with a lot of private detectives all over the country. And one of them called me and told me about a case in Pennsylvania, very similar to the one in New Mexico, but Pennsylvania's courts were kind of open and I could get documents. And I went into a hearing with this woman who they were guardianizing, wonderful 85-year-old woman named Betty Winstanley. And I saw the court in action and I was appalled. And I started writing about Betty Winstanley in my syndicated column. I had a syndicated crime and justice column for, 14 years. And the minute I started writing about it, the floodgates opened. I mean, people from states across the country begged me to report on their story. And so it just fed itself. I mean, I could tell you lots more. There was lots more over the 8 years, but that's how I got started. And why did I write a book? Because I don't like bullies and I don't like inequities and I don't like people who victimized vulnerable citizens. And it just made me mad.
I hear you. I hear you. I don't either. That makes my blood boil.
Yeah.
These situations occur. It's just not nice, as they say in this world. It's just not nice. In any case, it's just like the show we both just saw, Rock and Roll Man. You know,
Yeah.
where, you got the government. This nice Alan Freed is making an opportunity for everybody to be free, freedom. Okay. And to be able to play their music with black people and white people, you know, the race, color, and creed, these things. It's the Yiddish, we call it Meshuggah. It makes no sense not to be nice to all of us who are in the same world, all together. We're Homo sapien brothers and sisters, however you want to say. Everything else is, and they add on to us. We use the John Lenninist, and this is from the moon. You have other interviews. We've taken a lot of things. You're going on, I think, PBS and NPR or whatever, because she's a smart lady, and this is important. We'll talk again. Let me ask you one last question at this moment.
Sure.
For you, Diane, what's peace for you? Because we do the International Day of Peace, and what's peace for you?
Peace for me, I guess, is my house, my family, my husband, my 3 grandchildren, my two crazy cats, one of which is bothering me here right now. It's knowing that I have freedom, that I have civil rights, that I can go and do as I please, because we live in a great country, the United States of America. I think some of us have sort of lost vision about how great this country is and where we started and the progress we have made. And they tend to look at the negative of everything. I don't do that. I'm an optimist at heart. I'm one of those people that believes the world can be fair. Everybody can have their civil rights and freedoms, and we can all live peacefully. Maybe I'm a Pollyanna, Paul.
No, not in my book. You're the real thing. Anybody else is the Pollyanna on the other side of the coin. Not everybody. The few. The few. Imagine peace. Most of the world is at peace, and that's the good news. You're the good news. What a beautiful opportunity for me to get to know you. And thank you very much for sharing.
Thanks, Paul. I really appreciate you having me on. Good luck.
Thank you.